it's probably Sharon. Welcome back to my channel. Dig out some of your old lunch sacks, and we are going to make the cutest, easiest little journal together today. It has a magnetic closure. It's very simple, has some extra pockets in here, lots of pages. Just a fun little activity. Even the kids can join in. So grab your stuff and let's get to it. Okay, so we're going to start off with a couple of lunch sacks. These are approximately 10 inches tall, about 5¼ inches wide. I know there's several different sizes, but that's the dimensions of the ones that I'm using. So we're going to go ahead and take the first one, and we're going to trim off the edge of this flap. Okay, so once we have that edge open, we're going to go ahead and cut down the seam here for the fold. And then again on this side. This isn't going to be perfect, but that's kind of what's cool about junk journals. They don't have to be perfect. Okay, so now we have this flap that's just hanging here. Let's go ahead and open up the sack. So I did a tutorial on a bag bag recipe book, and it was the same size of sacks, except I didn't open them up like this. I just left them folded up. And if you want to check out that video, it was like 5 years ago or something. I think it's called Recipe Bag Book, but it's just a different way to do a bag journal or a bag book. So for this one, we're going to open them up. So this is going to give us bigger pages. They're going to be taller, which is nice. And this flap, what the purpose of that is, it's going to be kind of like a wraparound closure. So let's go ahead and just fold this in half, so we're meeting up right with the edge of that first section. Just like that. Now this is going to be our cover. And then this little flap is going to come over and close like that. So we're going to have to choose some scrapbook paper. We're going to kind of start off by decorating this cover a little bit. So we need to give it some strength. So what I've done is I went ahead and got some scrapbook paper. I just took a piece of scrapbook paper and then a second little piece, and I've sewn around the edges, and then I sewn around 3 edges on this one, so it could be a little pocket on the front if we want it to be. So I'll just say this, you do not have to sew it. I just like the look of that. So you can totally still do this project if you don't have a sewing machine. I just like the look of this. So first, before I paste this down, I'm going to take this and I'm going to stitch along the top and the bottom. And that's just to give it a little extra strength. If you don't have a sewing machine, you could use maybe washi tape and wrap it around the top and bottom edges. I'm just trying to give our cover just a little more stability, a little more strength. All right, so that's done. Okay, now I'm going to put a little bit of washi tape kind of sporadically along the spine. And that, again, is just to give it a little bit of strength. And it's also adding a little bit of character and personality to our journal. So on washi tape, some of it is sticky and some of it is not very sticky. So just to be safe, I like to put a little bit of glue on the back of the washi tape. Just to make sure it stays down. Just make sure that's stuck down there really well. Okay, now I want to put on, this is our cover. Actually, for this book, I want to do, I mean, you can do different closures. You can do a tie closure. You know, there's different ways to do it. But I want to put a magnet. And I've actually got some really strong magnets. I bought some craft magnets a while back, and they just weren't very strong. So I got some extra strong magnets. So let's go ahead and kind of find the center and place a magnet. I'm going to just put it down with masking tape over the top, and then we will be putting our scrapbook paper on the front for the cover. So I think that the masking tape will just help it stay down. Okay, and then we can place this. And again, I'm just going to use some Elmer's glue. Just make sure there's a lot of glue around that magnet. Okay. Just make sure we got that all secured down really well. Make sure the glue is all squished. And if there's any peeking through, just go ahead and wipe that off. Okay, now let's work on the flap. So what I'll do, I'm going to want to cover this with scrapbook paper as well. Let's see. Let's try this one. It has some writing, like an old letter or something. I thought that might be good to use. So I'm going to trim this. It looks like I've already cut it to the right size pretty much. So what I'm going to do is just kind of taper the edges a little bit, because when this flap is done, I want it to kind of taper. Okay, so now I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and just stitch around it. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to open this up, and I'm just going to paste this down. We will put the magnet on the opposite side of the flap. So I haven't forgot about it. I'm just going to put it on the other side. So let's just secure this down with some glue. Okay, here we go. Now once I get further along, I'm going to trim these corners off. But trimming this piece ahead of time just kind of gives me guidelines of where to cut that later. So we can just line it right up. So I don't want to hide completely that this is a paper sack. In my opinion, I think it's cool to be able to look at it later on and be able to tell that it was made from a lunch sack. So I don't want to cover everything up, and that's why I didn't put paper all the way to the top and the bottom, because I do want to still, you know, see the brown paper bag underneath everything. Okay, so on the inside of the flap, we're also going to put some paper there, and we're going to have to put our magnet there as well. So let's see, what do we want to put on the inside? Maybe something like that. Have to trim that off a little bit. And I'm going to have it a little bit longer so that it'll go down inside of the pocket and kind of cover up these little flaps here. And speaking of little flaps, I'm going to glue those down a little bit just to help things stay put. I tend to like these strings most of the time, so I'm going to leave these long strings for now, and I might trim them up later depending on how things look when everything's finished. Okay, let's just secure that down. Oh, we need to do our magnet. Okay, almost forgot. Okay, so our magnet is here. I want to make sure that I'm sticking down the correct side, so drop that on. So I need to flip that and secure it there. I could get it off. These are super strong, guys. They're not craft magnets by any means. So I need to flip it. And I'm going to put it kind of on the end so that I'll be able to really put a lot in this if I want to. If I put it too close over here, it won't have room to grow. So on some of them, I've actually put a couple of magnets, but it didn't turn out so well. So I'm just going to stick with one. I just want to make sure that's lined up so that our flap doesn't end up being crooked later. And then again, I'm just going to put some masking tape over the top. I might put a second piece. Let's just test that out. And I know there's nothing in it yet, so it's kind of not a good example, but let's just see. So looks like it lined up pretty good. All right. So now we can finish putting the glue on this and put that down on the inside of the flap. Okay. And before it's dry all the way, I do think it's a good idea to kind of make the folds. So, because right now it's kind of flat, there's no bend. So what I like to do is get like a little notepad, something like this, and just kind of fold it around. So I'm going up from the edge a little bit because I don't want it right in line with the edge. And then I'm just going to fold it up and over. That's going to give us a little bend. And then later on, if we need to, we can, put another fold in there, depending on how thick our little journal gets. But that'll give us a nice wraparound shape. Okay, now, like I mentioned, we're going to trim these corners, make that all nice and neat. Let me throw that away. Okay, so our cover is coming along pretty good. All right, let's look at the inside. Now we also need some scrapbook paper to put on the inside cover. I went ahead and trimmed some of these down ahead of time. So Again, I'm not going all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom because I do like to be able to tell this is a lunch sack, but that's your preference. You can do it however you want. So go ahead and stick that down. This is just going to give our cover a little more structure, a little more strength. Okay, I'll do this side, make sure it's going to fit. Okay, looks good. You know, this would be a good little journal for, you know, for younger people, you know, like 10, 12 years old. This is like a good starter journal. If they're into something like that, it might be fun. If you have any youngsters in your family to dig your stuff out and help them make one of these. It's kind of fun and simple and very inexpensive. Okay, so that's done. So for the inside, for our signatures, actually, we just set that aside. My other sack, we're going to put this on the inside in our signature, and it's going to act as like a double pocket. So we're going to do the same thing as we did at the first of the video and trim this part off so that we can open the sack up. Okay, so let's just open that up. Looks like I cut the side on accident, so we might have to do some repairing. Okay, just want to flatten that out. I'm trying to keep the folds in the same place. You know what's cool about this size too is when you open it up all the way like this and fold it in half, it is actually like the exact size of a copy paper folded in half. So there's like little to no trimming on your signature pages at all, which is really awesome. Okay, see, I've split that a little bit, but we'll fix that when we need to. All right, I'm just going to get my trimmer and trim that whole end off because we don't need that flap. And I want to make sure it's somewhat even. It's my cutting with the scissors isn't all that straight, so we'll put it on this and make sure it's a little more even. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and fold that in half. All right, so now when that's in our signature, it'll act as two pockets. I do have to fix that. I think I'm just going to put a little bit of masking tape on it for now because we are going to be putting something along that edge anyway. So for now, I will just fix it with a little tape. There we go. All right, so for my pages, I've actually just taken some natural dyed pages that I had, some papers. They're just copy size, like I said, 11 by 8.5. So this is actually a coffee dyed one that I did with a stencil. When it was drying, I put a stencil on it. And I have a video on this that actually is doing very well. I will link that below if you're interested in learning how to do that. But anyway, I've taken, let's see, I've got, I think I've taken four or five copy size and then 4 notebook paper. And I've just folded them in half. So we've got, you know, the notebook paper is a little bit shorter, but, and then I want to mix in this one. So let's put it, maybe right there. So you see everything lines up perfectly. That sack ends up being just the same size as the pages, which is really handy. Okay, so that looks great. Let's go ahead and bind this into our cover. I'm just going to use the pamphlet stitch, the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. I've done this one before, so I think I'm going to just do it off camera. Well, maybe I'll do it, but I'll do it fast. I'll just put it on high speed. So I'm going to use wax thread. And I got this little kit on Amazon, and I will link that below if you're interested. It just comes with the wax thread and some needles and an awl or pokey tool. It's an awl. Oh boy, there we go. Wow, I'm surprised I got that. Okay. Make a knot. And we'll just trim that off. There we go. Okay, so let's just take a look and make sure everything is in there. We haven't missed any pages. Here's our sack. Okay, looks like everything is in there all right. All right, so now on this sack, on this part, I want to reinforce the top because it is a lot thinner than the copy paper. So I'm just going to go ahead and take some scraps and just put along that edge. So again, I'm just going to use Elmer's glue. Okay. Hopefully we don't stick our pages together. All right, so on this side, we have this little circle or little cutout here. This is the top of the sack. So I want to try to make sure I don't, get any glue there. But in case I do, I have some wax paper or parchment paper. I'm just going to tuck in there just in case. So if some glue does get out, it's not going to stick the pockets together. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's find our other edge of the sack, and I'm just going to do the same thing again. Okay, so that's our little pockets. So another thing that we should probably do is, let's see if that one's okay. Yep. We can put little pockets and stuff on the inside cover in the back. I did save one of the flaps from the sack and sewed around the edges. I'm not sure if that's going to actually fit. That's kind of too much brown, isn't it? It kind of looks cute, but it's too plain. Anyway, I'm sure I can use it somewhere else in the book. Just some kind of like little pocket or envelope might be fun. Let me go grab something. Okay, I just have a little tiny envelope I'm going to stick here. It's a little redundant since this is a big open pocket. So I thought I'm just going to keep a little envelope there. And I'm just going to glue down the center. And this is just so the envelope can open bigger. You can put something bigger in there. Where if I just did it on the edges, it wouldn't have as much give. So this way it'll be able to open up a little bit more. Let's see, let's close that. So, I mean, you can do lots of stuff in here. You can put more pockets, you know, flip outs. You can, you know, clip things to the pages and stuff like that. I mean, it's pretty little, but it's going to be really handy and functional. We could put something back here, maybe a little flip up card. Or even something like this. It's just little note paper. We could put a few sheets just like that. So we can just pop that just like that. Just little bits and pieces here and there really add to a journal, even something simple like that. So yeah, we could add, I mean, depending on your likes and wants, you can add a lot more stuff in here. But I am going to finish the cover. I just have a couple little cutouts. So I might stick one down there. And I have a tutorial on how to make these for free. You can print out your own words, put whatever word you want, and make them look old and vintage. And I will link that tutorial below as well. Okay, and we'll put this number. You go always got to have a number, right? Always got to have those numbers. Okay. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope that it inspired you to go and make your own bag book or your bag journal. It's lots of fun, really easy, fun to get the kids involved if you want. They would be really easy for them to do. So I hope that you enjoyed my video, and I hope to see you in my next video. Have a great day, guys.